Life can change in an instant. For many wheelchair users, the struggle to push forward is a daily challenge.
After years of development and countless prototypes, we created Rib Grips, the revolutionary wheelchair hand rim covers with built-in ribs for ultimate grip and comfort.
No more slick surfaces, no more heat burns, just pure, reliable grip. Rib Grips, empowering you to push forward with ease. Rib Grips, get a grip on your freedom. Discover the difference. Visit ribgrips.com and use promo code GRIP today. You just found the perfect product that helps with staying cool during hot summer runs. No more gross warm water. Stay cool with this product from Gear Handle. This hydration tube cover helps keep your water cool and easily accessible. Stay hydrated during those long summer runs or even delay from freezing in the winter. Plus, they're compatible with various brands of water bladders and come in various colors. Visit gearhandle.com and use promo code H2O today.
This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Welcome back to Silent Witness, the cold case pod that covers true crime sometimes too. And so we are the hosts, Christina.
Hello, hello.
And Erica. Hello, hello. And we're getting back into what we were talking about last week.
So this is part 2 of Justice Undone.
There we go.
So, so this is we're going into true crime.
Okay. So this one's more true crimey. So we're not looking for the killer on this one.
Right.
We're not seeking out justice. We're just talking about people.
This case.
All right.
So let's summarize last week's podcast.
Okay.
So we explored the chilling and complex case of the Kaufman County DA killing, which made huge headlines in 2013. The murder of Assistant District Attorney Mark Hassey. He was gunned down in broad daylight near the courthouse. And as we will begin an exhaustive search for his killer. So please go listen to the first episode for the details of that shooting and the background. But let's talk about who could have killed Mark.
Let's go.
Aryan Brotherhood, Mexican cartel, somebody.
Yeah, because he's a criminal prosecutor.
Right.
So
somebody that he put in jail, a drug dealer. It could be anybody.
Okay.
So we left off last week with Mike's quote, who was the DA, the head honcho of the DA's office. And I'll just say again, just because it is pretty powerful, we lost a really, really good man. He was an excellent friend and a spectacular prosecutor. I hope that the people that did this are watching, because we are confident we are going to find you, pull you out of whatever hole you're in, bring you back, and let the people of Kaufman County prosecute you to the full extent of the law.
I remember you saying that last week. I love that. Pull you out of whatever hole you're in. You can
was-
try to hide.
Yeah.
Well, it's his buddy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know, that hits your office and it's just like, what? You know, it's just, you know.
Yeah, because like you were saying last week, you kind of get used to the threats and you shrug them off. You don't take them seriously or whatnot.
Right. You don't
but
think
in this
that's going to
case,
happen. Yeah.
They actually killed him.
Mm-hmm. So the investigation of Mark's murder was headed by the sheriff's office.
Okay.
Although federal and state law enforcement were there to help with the investigation, the Rangers, FBI, ATF.
Yeah. I would think that would fall under a federal jurisdiction since it was an ADA.
But the ADA was, the assistant district attorney was a local.
Yeah.
He wasn't a federal officer. So it wouldn't
I
have
don't
been
know.
federal.
Just to me, it seems like a bigger deal when it's your DA or your AD, you know.
And they were there to help and to assist.
Very cool.
And to offer their, you know, because Kaufman County, again, is a small county and they're not going to have the resources that the FBI had, ATF, Rangers.
Nice.
So they were there.
Everybody was there to figure it out.
Right. So witnesses described a verbal altercation. The shooter shoved Mark and Mark kind of shoved back. So they had words.
Okay.
And, you know how men
Yeah.
bowing up and whatever. And that's when the shooter took a gun and shot Mark right in the neck. He just,
oh gosh,
close range. Witnesses described the shooter as wearing a black mask, black clothing. As we talked about a little bit last week, a former cop and a lawyer, she was a lawyer, saw the shooting and pulled in to try to get the license plate of the vehicle, and there was none.
Okay.
There was no license plate. She did
So-
follow the car.
She's the one who followed the car.
Mhm.
Okay.
But she was shaking, trying to call 911 and couldn't get through to 911. It was a new phone. So she was trying to drive, trying to call. You see a murder, you're going to be, and you're chasing the bad guys. So anyway, she lost the vehicle.
Okay.
Other people heard the shots.
How long was she a cop?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't
Sorry.
know that much about her. But others heard the shots, including an on-duty officer and other people arriving at work. It should be noted that Mark he did carry a gun, as many prosecutors do. Mike carried a gun, and like Beth Hicks' case that we talked about earlier, there was no time for him to pull his gun if he was wearing it. I don't recall if he was wearing it. I'm sure he was at the time, but it happened so fast he didn't pull it. So as the day wore on, local, state, and federal officers began looking for the killer, obviously. Like a police officer killing, it took the same sense of urgency.
Sure.
News outlets began reporting about the shooting. It began hitting the press. And Mark was a lifelong bachelor. Okay. He never married, never had kids.
Okay.
But he did have a mother who was still alive, and she learned of via the news.
No.
Yeah.
They didn't. Oh.
I mean, they probably didn't have time because when this happened, Mike immediately went to the hospital where they took Mark. And along with the sheriff and then another judge, just some random judge. They received the news there at the hospital that Mark had died. And Mike had an idea who was responsible, but we'll discuss that more later.
I just feel bad for his mom. Nobody thought to be like, hey, ma'am.
I think it's just because the news comes so quickly now.
I guess.
And
yeah, but there's also so many times where like we can't release the name of the person until family's notified.
And it's just I don't remember the news at that time. I remember it, but I don't remember specific. Yeah, I remember that because when he was killed, I'm on the phone with my friends. They're getting, DAs. You don't know. You're scared.
Okay.
For your friends. I walked to the courthouse. The same, not
right,
that same, but I walked to the courthouse every morning too.
At that point, were they assuming it was targeted or that? Oh, so they already knew okay.
Oh, it wasn't random. It wasn't random.
Okay, so that's what I mean. Like, then why would y'all be nervous? Like,
because you don't know who did it. Who else? Are they going to now start going? Are they going to go next door to my friend who was a judge at the time and a DA? And
so then you weren't 100% sure that he was a target.
We didn't
as
know.
much as like an ADA or a court officer.
Yeah,
was okay.
I mean,
yeah. I guess the news would just be like, boom.
Yeah.
Oh, his poor mom.
Okay. So, who could have done this at the scene? Obviously, they roped off the scene. They found gun casings. There was a pool of blood on the concrete. Crime scene investigators worked the scene as they would any other scene, and a command center was established.
Okay.
Of course, rumors began swirling with coworkers and friends as they were notified of the murder. Of course, the rumors, of course. Everyone on the docket for that day was looked at.
Okay.
Everyone, that a lot of people that he had prosecuted were looked at. The theory of the Aryan Brotherhood starts popping up now.
Okay.
Because of the threat, and there is another reason.
Okay. I was like, was there like a big case that he was involved with?
So we're going to talk about that. So that same morning that Mark was killed, 2 high-ranking Aryan Brotherhood of Texas gang members were pleading guilty in the Houston area on various charges. So the theory of the hit by the gang grew not only in the community but in the press. So even the press was reporting.
Why? Houston is so far away.
But they're all still the same gang.
I get that, but if he's not the one prosecuting it, why would they go after him?
But he has prosecuted them before. And, I mean, it's a smaller town. But we'll get a little bit into that. But that was just kind of a coincidence. So police, back to the investigation. And this was rumors. It was going in the press too. So it wasn't just something that was rumors in the courthouse. Oh, whispers. No, it was in the news too.
Yeah, but that just feels irresponsible to me because that's a big jump. Houston to Kaufman.
Houston. Okay. Again, gangs are all intertwined.
I get that. I totally get that.
Yeah, and it was just a coincidence.
Yeah.
As far as that's concerned with Houston, it was just worth mentioning that, because it was rumored the area and then there is something else coming up that
we'll get to it so I understand. Okay.
So, they knew that, back to the investigation real quick, they knew they had to find the vehicle and they knew there was more than one person involved.
Right. Because the dude got in the passenger side.
Right.
Okay.
And they knew that the vehicle was a silver or a tan car.
Okay.
Police talked to everybody. They even talked to Eric Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Police went to speak to him, but Eric was sympathetic, and he was his arm. The gun tested his hands, which showed no residue that he had shot a gun. He said he had shoulder surgery that morning, so his arm was in a sling. So obviously, in their minds, he couldn't have shot a gun if he was in surgery.
Mm-hmm.
So but
which shoulder? If he was in surgery.
I mean, you
did they verify that?
At the time, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, as much as they could.
Okay.
Let's just put it that way.
Are we sure it was a man?
No.
Okay, because it was just like a figure.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
And Mark was the big dude, right?
No, he wasn't the big dude.
Mike
Mark was
the big dude.
Mike is the big one.
Okay.
Yeah. So tips began pouring in.
Okay.
None panned out, except one promising lead. So let's get back to the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas.
Okay.
So, again, several, there was a several high-ranking members of the gang were indicted federally, and Mark was part of those who prosecuted that were involved in that case.
Okay, that's an important detail.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're going to look at the case in Colorado that may have something to do with Mark's murder. So in March of 2013, so this was a few months later, the director of the Colorado prison system, so this is the main head guy of the Colorado prison system, was murdered.
Oh, gosh.
By Evan Ebel, E-B-E-L.
Okay.
He was a 211 gang member, which is a white supremacist prison gang.
Okay.
So he was the main suspect in that. So Thomas Clements was the head of the Colorado prison system, and he was murdered at his home when the doorbell rang, and he answered it and was gunned down. Yeah.
Like Mary. Okay.
Like Mary Ann's case. But they knew who. Ebel had gotten out of prison, and he had promised other gang members that he would take care of business. And that's slang for I'm going to kill.
Yeah, it's not like hidden slang. We get it.
Yeah. 2 days after that murder, Ebel was pulled over in Wise County, Texas.
Okay.
By a sheriff's office deputy as the deputy walked up on the car. And this is all captured on video. As he walked up to the car, Ebel shot the deputy. And he was injured. He was hit and injured pretty severely. He was not killed.
Okay.
Of course, Ebel drove off, led police on a high-speed chase that ended with Ebel striking a diesel truck and killed in a shootout with police.
Wow.
And that's all caught on video.
Gosh.
Him hitting the diesel and then the shootout.
Wow.
So upon further investigation, it was determined that Ebel was not Mark's killer because he was not in Texas at that time.
Okay. But for a minute they thought. So he was part of the case that Mark was prosecuting? And so
Not
that's
him,
why.
just his
his.
friends.
Okay, so then, but you said he was in the 211. So are they like
It's so
buddies with the AB? Or
yeah, so it's a white supremacist gang. So a lot of
Right.
white supremacist gang have offsets. So Aryan
Okay.
Brotherhood of Texas is Texas, and 211, even though it's a white supremacist, they're in Colorado. There's different white supremacist gangs in the Texas prison, and everywhere there's thousands of gangs, and you know they're kind of like an offset,
off-brand.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. But they're still but
they're
they're
still
like
white supremacist, but they're all friends. Yeah.
Okay, so there's no rivalry between them.
No.
Is what I was okay.
And there usually isn't with white supremacist gangs. Usually they're going to be all cool with each other. They're not, their beef is with other races. White supremacists kind of stick together, especially in prison.
They don't have like territorial nonsense going on or anything
Not
like that.
like Crips, Bloods.
Okay.
But anyway, so he was determined that he was not in Texas during Mark's murder and was ruled out.
Okay.
Him specifically. So, because Mark was an assistant DA, the DA's office had to recuse themselves, and this happens. You know,
Makes
they had to
sense.
say, we can't prosecute whoever did this. A third party's going to have to come in.
Okay.
So they called in Dallas assistant DAs Toby Shook and Bill Worski. They're pretty famous. I think one of them did the Darlie Routier case. I don't remember which one. But they were pretty known in the state and you know, good prosecutors. So they took the assignment and helped, and they also would come in and help with the investigation, even though they were in Dallas.
Okay.
So tips kept coming in about the ABT. They kept coming in to the tip line that, you know, look at this one. He may have killed Mark. And of course, Mark's personal life was looked at very closely. Old girlfriends, stuff like that.
Mhm.
They never panned out. You know,
Okay.
he got along with everybody, even an ex-girlfriend. So,
okay.
I think they said that 3 or 4 of them came to his funeral.
So it really needed to be somehow work related.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we think. And you know, that's going to be your number one in these cases.
Yes.
So with weeks continuing to pass by, police continued their investigation, and no arrests and no leads and no idea who did this.
Oh.
Everyone again was looked at, and the case stalled. Of course, then at the time, you know, for several weeks after, everyone that worked in the courthouse, everyone in the DA's office were nervous and scared.
Mm-hmm.
Even judges wore bulletproof vests, you know, when they were going to leave the building, thinking,
Because they still hadn't
we don't know who's
proven
next.
that it was specific to this.
Yeah, they haven't caught.
Sure.
They don't know who could be next.
Right.
Mike
Mhm.
was armed. Mike always carried his gun, and even was seen on surveillance camera going to a gun store to buy guns for his staff.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, he felt like he was responsible for his staff.
Yeah.
And you know, he took that seriously. So but you know, security was beefed up for anybody, you know, that worked there. You know, Mike was also kind of maybe a little on the stubborn side, which, you know, he's a big Texas man. You know, most are going to be a little stubborn. We're all stubborn in some way. But,
right.
you know, a lot of people urged Mike, hey, you need to beef up your own security.
Oh, okay.
You need to get driveway sensors. You need, you know, in case anybody pulls up. You know, he did get a new security system in his home, but that was about it. But he didn't use it all the time.
Okay.
You know, you know, if Mike was nervous about being a target, he didn't let on.
Does he get killed too?
I don't know. Just listen.
Dang it.
Why are you jumping ahead?
Because you're leading me there.
Okay.
Oh,
so let's talk.
gosh.
Easter that year was at the end of March.
Okay.
So
wow. Ooh, early.
Yeah, it was like March 30th or 31st or something like that.
Okay.
So as each Easter approached, everyone, you know, we're 3 months out from Mike's murder. Everyone began preparations. Things kind of chilled a little bit. Police were still working the Hassie case, but they, you know, definitely calmed down, and, you know, the command post was kind of done away with. Even though they're still working the case, it was not as, everybody was getting more relaxed.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Sure. A lot of time has gone by at this point.
Yeah.
And they don't have anything like hot leads to keep them like
Right.
invigorated. Yeah. That's very
Yes.
depressing.
Yeah. And so, they, like I said, the command post was kind of done away with, and it was just up to the department to, work the case. And, you got the Easter holiday coming up, you have Good Friday, which everybody's off. Mike and Cynthia spent the day before Easter, that Saturday at home, talking to family, getting ready for the holiday. Cynthia was big on holidays, cooking and decorating for Easter.
Cute.
And, friends over, and, it was just a big holiday for them.
Sure. Okay.
And, Mike and Cynthia spoke to their kids that evening, got ready for bed. And, they had a big day ahead, Easter Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
They were going to have friends and family over. So Easter Sunday comes, and it was March 30th, 2013.
Okay.
Friends and family that morning can't get a hold of the McLellands. So they just kind of think, okay, maybe they went to church, plans changed, we can't get a hold of them. So some friends show up they lived in Forney.
Okay.
So Forney is still going to be some of Forney is still in Kaufman County, and some of it is not.
Okay.
But it is going to be more closer to Dallas.
Okay.
Forney is.
Yeah.
And they had a home in Forney. And friends, called, knocked on the door. No one answered. They see their vehicles that are still in the driveway. They were kind of bothered by okay, the newspaper's still there. The cars are there. And so they call a family friend, CJ.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Dallas police officer who was the son of of one of her friends, Cynthia's friends.
Okay.
And they lived nearby. And again, he was off duty. And so he was like, yeah, I'll come to the house, check it out.
Okay.
So him and CJ and another friend or another person entered the house. The door was unlocked. And the couple was clearly dead on the floor and had been dead for a while. They were killed. The McLellands, Cynthia and Mike, were killed in a barrage of bullets in the early morning hours of Easter Sunday. They called 911. They called the sheriff first himself, and he said, "No, call 911." And basically, CJ's like, "There's nothing we can do. Don't worry about an ambulance. They've been dead a while."
Just get detectives out.
Yeah, let's just
get the scene checked. Sure.
Once law enforcement arrived, they determined obviously they were beyond help and had been dead for some time.
Mm-hmm.
Because this was probably later in the morning,
right? As people are like, "Okay, what do we do?"
Yeah,
sure. Oh, in their home.
According to the sheriff of Kaufman County, it was one of the worst scenes he had ever been to.
Oh.
Cynthia was shot multiple times with the final kill shot to the head. Mike was not even dressed. He didn't have a shirt on. So, it was early morning. He was getting out of bed, and he was obviously taken by surprise, and he was shot multiple times. There was no less than 20 shots fired in the house by an AR-15 style rifle. So a semi-automatic. Or an auto. As news spread, investigators and family arrived at the home, McLelland home. The disbelief and horror. Just the horror,
Yeah.
The medical examiner determined Cynthia was shot at least 5 times, maybe 8, and Mike at least 16 times. So it was overkill.
Yeah, that's a lot.
The DA is now dead, but why was Cynthia targeted?
Right? What? So did they start thinking maybe it has nothing to do with his job? This was
Yeah, so it was truly an attack at this point on the criminal justice system, like I said in the morning.
Okay.
In the morning. Last week.
in the other episode.
The other episode. It was a clear attack. But
yeah, so now you're like, oh, crap. That's the ADA, the DA.
Mm-hmm.
Watch yourself.
But why Cynthia?
She was just there. Why they're home? Like, why would they get, right? That makes you almost wonder if it's not related, except obviously it's related.
Well,
but
who knows?
Why you're home? Like they got Mark at the courthouse, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they went in his home and killed his. Well, why? Why would you go in their home?
Was this linked to Mark's murder? Was this a serial killer at work? And who was next? As everyone, not only in Kaufman County worried, everyone involved in the investigation was scared. So if you were, I saw an interview with one of the DA. It was either Toby or Bill, the DAs that were going to come in and prosecute from Dallas, one of them had said, they told his wife, I don't care who's coming through that door, you shoot.
Good.
Even if they say they're a cop, you shoot and ask questions later.
Like, trust nobody.
I will tell you when I'm coming home, but anybody that is at that door, shoot. Period.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just looking up like when the Dallas police sniper, that was years later.
That was 16.
Yeah.
That was 2016. Yeah. But everyone in Kaufman County, again, was scared and just like shocked.
Yeah.
Shocked. We had never seen anything like this. Even in the state of Texas, we've never seen anything like this.
No, DAs are usually so protected. I mean, nationally, they're usually so protected.
But who's next?
Yeah.
Is anybody next? So was this only limited to Kaufman County? Was this the beginning of others around the state being killed? And everybody worried that, especially when we all got the news of this, is like, call my friend, you better have triple security walking you in that courthouse. So everybody was scared and nervous because, again, our system was under attack.
Yeah. Well, now it's like, okay, because that's just a couple months later, the second attack. Now it's, uh-oh.
And they knew whoever was responsible, I mean, they had to be stopped.
Oh, yeah.
So we will get into next week, the investigation.
What?
Yes.
That's it? That's already done?
Gotta leave you coming back for more. So next week, we'll talk about the investigation, if and who may have been responsible for this and how they could not have been caught. The trial, we'll get into all of that next time.
Oh, so they were caught because you said there's a trial.
Were they found guilty or were they not?
Nobody knows. I don't know. You know.
I know. I know this case very well.
I'm like, anybody who knows the case knows. It's just little old me reacting.
That's okay. That's okay.
All right. Gosh, dang it. All right. So next week we will. So is next week the end or is there a fourth one?
No.
I need to know.
We'll make it the end.
Okay. So next week we'll round this out.
You'll finish it.
In our 3-parter.
Yes.
Now I thought it was a 2-parter, but joke's on me, guys. We are going to have a 3rd episode next week. Round this out. The Kaufman killings.
Yeah. I named it Justice Undone.
Okay.
But yeah, it's the killing, and we'll talk more about the investigation into Mike and Cynthia's murder, and who could have been responsible and why.
All right. We will get into it next week on Silent Witness. Thanks for listening.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production. Are you a podcaster? Let's talk podcast hosting. Are you tired of your current podcast host? Need real support in a community that gets it? At Rogue Media Network, we offer top-tier podcast hosting services to help you thrive. From hosting and distribution to dedicated support, we've got you covered. Starting as low as $25 a month. Join our community of passionate podcasters today. Contact us at hello@roguemedianetwork.com.